So we discussed in the last class about total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue. What are these and how their curves are? Now we will discuss the curve AR, MR and TL, total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue curves. Especially we will talk about average revenue and marginal revenue curves in perfect competition या perfect competitive market or in monopoly market or in monopolistic market. So basically perfect competition is a form of market. It is a form of market और structure of market. परफेक्ट कंपटीशन फॉर्म ऑफ मार्केट होता है, स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ मार्केट होता है, जहाँ पर जो फर्म होती है वो प्राइस टेकर होती है. कोई भी फर्म जो होती है, कोई भी फर्म क्या करती है, ही और शी और अ फर्म इज अ प्राइस टेकर. एंड व्हाट इज द मीन ऑफ प्राइस टेकर? Whatever be the market demand and market supply decides about the price, they will adopt that price. They will take the price that is being decided by the market. So that is why they are price taker. Since they are price taker, so they have to decide the output which they have to sell at market price. ठीक है. सो जो भी इन्हें आउटपुट सेल करना होगा, वट एवर आउटपुट दे हैव टू सेल, दैट विल बी डिसाइडेड बाय द मार्केट डिमांड एंड मार्केट सप्लाई वेयर देयर इज अ इक्विलिब्रियम. सो दे आर जस्ट द प्राइस टेकर. बिकॉज दे आर प्राइस टेकर, देयरफॉर मार्जिनल रेवेन्यू इक्वल्स एवरेज रेवेन्यू. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज द ग्राफ इज perfectly elastic. The graph is perfectly elastic and this graph is represents price, average revenue and marginal revenue. If we have to know that what is the graph for perfect competition, the graph is perfectly elastic. Why? Because it is a price taker. Perfect competition is a price taker. They have to take the price if that is being decided by the market. If this price fluctuate, whether it increases, if the price increases to P1, so there will, if price increases, that will what that will do, there will be a decrease in demand. Demand will decrease. So when the demand will decrease, obviously it will have the repercussions on the sale of the or the output of the firm. So the firm will take the price where this equilibrium meets or where the market price are decided. So firms sell output at market price, therefore MR equals AR equals to P. So the curve is curve of average revenue, marginal revenue and price, that is perfectly elastic. Okay. Now if we have to talk about the monopoly market, now if we have to talk about average revenue and marginal revenue curve under monopoly, so monopoly is a form of market which is price maker. So it is a price maker and it can sell not a limited amount of product just because he has a monopoly, he or a firm has a monopoly over that product. And another important thing is that if they have to sell, the AR curve is AR curve of monopoly. The AR curve of monopoly is downward sloping. It is downward sloping because if they have to charge an extra amount of price, for example this is the price and they have to sell the output Q1 and price P1. Now if they want to increase the price of the product, so their quantity will decrease. Their quantity will decrease or their demand will decrease. Either they can sell output more or they can charge high price. That is why average revenue curve is downward sloping, and when average revenue curve is downward sloping, so marginal curve would be below average revenue curve. So this is a monopoly. Under monopoly, average revenue curve is downward sloping, showing a negative relationship between price and the revenue generations. So if they have to generate more revenue by charging high price, so what they will have to do, they will have to decrease the amount of output they are going to get. One condition. If they have to lessen the price so as to sell more output, then their output will increase. So this is the downward sloping curve, which is sloping downward. And in case of monopolistic, it is quite flatter. AR curve is quite flatter, and since AR is flatter, MR would also be flatter. Monopolistic. Under monopolistic, it is quite flatter. It is quite flatter. The reason behind that is the monopolistic form of market has a certain form of monopoly by product differentiation. They will differentiate their product from others since it has the characteristics of perfect competition, but they will differentiate their product due to which they will have a monopoly over the market, and they can charge a higher price or the price by their own instead of price taking by the market supply and demand. That is why their curve is quite flatter. AR and MR curve is flatter than monopoly because they have some monopoly, not the whole but some monopoly due to product differentiation. That is why the AR curve and MR curve is flatter in case of monopolistic competition. So we have studied about perfect competition. Perfect competition में हमारा क्या है, इनलास्टिक होता है. P is equals to AR is equals to MR, and in perfect competition this is the condition. मोनोपोली में हमारा डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग होता है AR एंड MR, एंड मोनोपोलिस्टिक में भी डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग होता है, बट इट इज क्वाइट फ्लैटर देन MRs ड्यू टू प्रोडक्ट डिफरेंशिएशन. इट हैज़ अ कंप्लीट मोनोपोली. दे आर प्राइस मेकर, दे आर प्राइस टेकर. Perfect competition is price taker. These are price maker, and these have some control over the price due to product differentiation. This we will cover whole thing about these three forms of market when we will study forms of market. So this is about the revenue, total revenue, revenue and especially revenue curves under forms of market. So this is about the curves under forms of market or in perfect competition, monopoly and monopolistic. Thank you.